Welcome to another episode of Truish Hoops Podcast. I'd like to welcome back James Boisits, and we're going to be predicting how each conference will shake out for the 2024-2025 NBA season. Western Conference, really tough. Teams I have missing the playoffs. I have the Blazers last.
Mhm.
I have the Jazz, the Spurs, the Clippers, the Rockets, and that's the five teams I have
Yeah.
missing the
Oh
playoffs.
wow, yeah, the Rockets missing.
Yeah, it was tough going through this. I was just like, once I got to the bottom, I was like, damn, Rockets missing again. I just don't think they got a lot better than some of these other teams got better because the Grizzlies are going to be back in the mix. I haven't making the playoffs. I think Budenholzer makes a difference with the Suns. I like DeMar DeRozan going to the Kings. The Pelicans are kind of the question mark. Like the Pelicans, if it works, they'll be in the playoffs, but they have no center and Zion's gonna
Okay.
be starting at center. Like
hmm
there's a lot there. But yeah, I got the Clippers missing the playoffs because this news with Kawhi is very concerning. I'm not sure how much he plays this year.
hmm
And regular season James Harden is good, but the rest of the roster I don't think is very great. Spurs will be better, but I don't anticipate them making the playoffs unless Wemby is ridiculous. Like unless he carries his roster somehow. Um, I don't think they make the playoffs. Jazz are still, I don't think, trying to be good, and the Blazers have some good young players, but not. I don't think they'd be trying to win as well.
Okay. So again, I think we align mostly, but I want to talk about the Rockets later because I do have them in the playoffs.
Mhm.
The teams I have missing the playoffs: Portland at 15, Jazz at 14, Clippers 13, Spurs 12, Warriors 11. Here's my
Warriors missing the
case.
playoffs.
Warriors
Okay.
missing the playoffs at 11. Okay, so let's start with the Warriors. Why should I assume the Warriors are all of a sudden going to rise up and be a playoff team this year? This is the decline of a
Yeah,
dynasty.
yeah, you're
I
right.
where did they get better? Apparently they say they got better. Did they in like dramatic ways?
No.
Where's Jonathan Kuminga playing? Is he going to start at small forward? Like what is this
Yeah,
team?
I would think so. They start
What
him with Draymond
I don't
and
know.
Looney.
That's not what I see him as. Yeah, Golden State's a no for me. Curry was healthy last year and they missed the playoffs. I mean, they were a playing team, but like Curry's not that guy that can just carry teams to the postseason. He's never been that guy. He just isn't that dude. Like he needs more guys. And he's Buddy Clay's gone. Clay was garbage last year. Sorry, Clay. And we'll get to you later. Draymond, what's Draymond on this team? I don't really know. They were really banking on Wiggins, Poole, their young guy, Wiseman.
Moody. But
Yeah,
most of Moody's
good
still
job.
there.
Good job, Bob Myers, the most overrated general manager in history. What did he do? Sorry. Doesn't mean he's bad. I'm just saying the
Right.
hype
Yeah.
between Bob
Mhm.
Myers just is like, can we relax a little bit? Did he draft Steph Curry? Did he draft Klay Thompson? Did he draft Draymond Green?
No.
He might have been in the room. I don't know if we really did that. Did Kevin Durant sign for Bob Myers? I'm not sure. Okay. That's just my thoughts. All right.
Mhm.
Spurs. They have more competent NBA players now. I like the Chris Paul signing with Wemby. I think that's really great. Um, they're just not good enough. And Wemby could be really healthy and they win like 37 games, which is not going to be enough.
Mhm.
The Spurs got to be careful with Wemby. You can't continue to just kind of dick around with the roster around him. Like you gotta like eventually add talent to the team that because the NBA, the Western Conference is very talented. So you can't just add Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul. Like they kind of should have
Right.
done this last year, but they didn't. So now you put more competent people around Wemby, and that's great. The Clippers are gonna suck. James Harden at this stage in his career, mediocrity around him. Yeah, no. James Harden, glad that decision to leave Brooklyn is really working out for you, James
Oh
Harden.
man.
Really worked out in Philly. Now with the Clippers, you're just a winning player, right? You sacrifice and all this stuff, and even though you brag about yourself all the time. All right, the Jazz. at some point, here's my issue with the Jazz because the Jazz, I think, default are going to try and be bad. Um, because there's other teams trying to, like the Clippers are trying to win, you know,
Hmm.
the Jazz, honestly, I probably like their team more than the Clippers, but I think the Jazz aren't going to try and win. And I think this is the problem I have with Danny Ainge. Eventually, you have to move things forward because he kind of ran into this issue with the Celtics where he did try, but eventually, like, you're in the same spot with Ainge for a while. And this is now year 3 with Utah being not great. And they got to nail the draft pick this year. Okay. Maybe they get Cooper
Hmm.
Flag and everything's fine, but they got to nail this draft pick. And I think they understand that. So nail this draft pick this year, then go into next season, really build. Okay. But you need that number one guy because marketing could be your number two, I think, or number three, something like that. Sexton gave them good stuff last year. So they're going to nail that draft pick. Here's my issue with Portland. This is definitely the worst roster in the West. The Scoot pick would terrify me as a Blazer fan right now.
It's not looking good.
Ooh, and they really need that to work. So sell the vets who have crappy attitudes on the team, like DeAndre Ayton. I expect Jeremy Grant to be eventually off this team. I expect Robert Williams to be off this team eventually. Simons is reaching this point where, like, yeah, I'd consider trading him because he's been in the league a couple years now. He's got a contract. You know, I like him. He's good, but like, is he the future of the Portland Trailblazers? I'm not sure. He's good, but the Scoot pick, they really needed that to work to really kick off this rebuild. And so
Hmm.
far, it looks really bad. And maybe the guy they draft this year will help them. But yeah, those are my issues. Those are my thoughts on the teams missing the playoffs. So we have the difference between the Warriors and the Rockets here.
Yeah. Um, so in the plan, I have the Kings and the Pelicans. I
9 and
mentioned
10.
uh oh wait, no, hold on. No, so 9-10 I have Pelicans Warriors. I was looking at 7-8 I have Suns Kings. But
Okay.
Warriors, I think Buddy Hield's gonna be decent enough. He'll give them more or less what Clay got. But I do agree this is not a great roster. It's not really any better than it was last season. Um, I'm kind of just banking on Kaminga being really good. Um, I actually picked him, I think, for one of my awards. Um, Curry, I think as long as he's healthy, he's really good. I think they'll find a way in because there's just even though they're definitely declining, this is a dynasty that's kind of over. I still think somehow they find a way in with Steph Curry being great. Pelicans 9, unless they figure out what they're going to do at center, I don't think this is going to work. Zion is 6'7", and he's also injury prone. Not sure you could have him banging down low with centers. The DeJounte Murray addition is interesting, but I also worry where Brandon Ingram fits into all this because he was kind of dangled out there in trade rumors throughout the offseason. They ended up not moving him. He's a guy that you kind of have to run your offense through, or else he doesn't really give you consistent basketball. And I think that's an issue. Is Zion your best player, or is it Ingram? And then you still got McCollum, who's a little older now. It's just a weird roster that has a lot of talent, has a lot of upside if it works, but also just we've seen it not work basically for a couple years now.
Mhm.
And
So
then
you have, as you said, Suns, Kings,
seven, eight,
Pelicans,
nine, 10,
Warriors.
7, 8, 9, 10 is Suns, Kings, Pelicans, Warriors.
Okay, okay. For me, I'm just gonna say it. Grizzlies 7, Rockets 8, Kings 9, Pelicans 10. So I'm gonna start with the Pelicans because you just talked about them. Yeah, tons of holes with this roster, and like I said, could be better, but Dejounte Murray is an upgrade for what they had at point guard. But unless he becomes the Murray of the Spurs, where he's defending and providing offense, I don't trust it. Their big situation is bad. They wanted to trade Ingram all summer and couldn't do it, and now he's just like, "Hey, come back, Ingram."
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing the Pelicans have going for them is, in my opinion, is the young wings that they have, and Zion looks really good, but he's
Hmm.
got to be healthy, you
Yeah.
know. So If he doesn't put up a healthy season where the Pelicans are one of the best teams, he's going to continue to hear like, oh, Mariah Mills crap and all that stuff. And I had to put that in there. I'm sorry.
People calling
Um,
him fat, all this
yeah,
all the
yeah,
stuff that people
he's
say.
not fat though. He looks much in
Yeah, he
much better
does. He
shape.
definitely looks better.
And I want to see Zion be like awesome in the postseason. I want to.
Yeah.
But the Pelicans, maybe like since Zion's not the greatest shooter, maybe it's hard to pair him with a traditional big. So maybe this experiment of not having a center may work, but they have to prove it, because there's a lot of teams in the West, and if Zion's injured, this team, like honestly, like could be bad, you know?
Hmm.
All right, number 9, the Kings. Another team, the story for the Kings is going to be like it was 2 years ago. Consistency and durability. That's what's going to get them. Okay. So DeRozan is an upgrade for what they had, right? I appreciate what they're doing to be competent, good, solid basketball. The West is really good. And if injuries happen in the top, and we'll get to Phoenix soon, because that could very well be a team that an injury happens. All right, let's move up. That's going to be the story. Fox, Sabonis, DeRozan, the durability. Okay. That's the story for the success of this team. Um, but talent wise, I can't put them above these other teams. I just can't. They honestly, last year, it felt like they dropped off, but they really didn't. They
Yeah.
had like 46 wins. I think the year before they had like 48. Like Monk was injured. Like they just didn't get as lucky with the durability, and the West improved. So they were kind of due for a drop off. Um, as far as the Rockets go, I trust Ime. You're right that they didn't make any big additions, but they do have a lot of young talent that could improve. There's also, though, this question with Şengün and Jalen Green, and I think they have a too many guys problem,
Mm,
possibly, and they may need to make some trades. I really don't understand why they decided to just gift the Nets with our picks back, but I'm
picks.
thankful. It just goes into my narrative that I don't believe Raphael Stone is a good general manager, and I think he's just very fortunate that these players just dropped into his lap. And I think Ime Udoka decided to sign Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and get adults in there, and I don't think that's Raphael Stone. Do you? Because we saw what Raphael Stone was running before they got Ime Udoka
Right.
falling into their lap. I think it looked like the biggest disaster in the league. So I don't know what they do with Şengün, and just give me your Rockets thoughts too, real quick.
Yeah. Just a team that didn't improve as much as some of the other teams in the Western Conference. I think Reed Shepherd will be really good and an impact player his rookie year. But I agree. I think they're kind of at a point where they got to decide who's gonna be along for whatever this ride is. Is it Sengun or is it Jalen Green? Jalen Green's been in the league a couple years, but he's still really young. So I understand you're still trying to wait out because he was really good the last few months of the season last year. Will he take that step to being an all-star caliber player like people have expected him to be? But I just think it's more so about the rest of these teams in the West that I think are just going to be really good, better than the Rockets. I think the Rockets will be similar to what they were last year, record-wise. And if some of these teams like the Kings and the Pelicans and the Suns, if they improve, the Rockets may find their way out. I think it's really between them and the Warriors. Those are my 10 and 11. If the Warriors are worse than I think they're going to be, then the Rockets will end up getting in there.
The Grizzlies, I just wanted to talk about. Prove it to me, Grizzlies. Prove me that you're ready to behave. Uh, Here's my biggest concern with the Grizzlies, and I think a lot of people are really high on them because we saw what they were with Ja.
Hmm.
Are we sure this is the same team?
That's a good
Because
question.
you know what those teams had? When Ja was out, they would play really well.
Yeah.
And last year, Ja was supposed to be out for the first 25 games, so they knew that he was coming back. And they looked incompetent to start the year. And I'm not sure they're the same team.
I think they were like 0 and 6, 0 and 7, 0 and 8 to
I
start the season. They were really bad.
I expect them to be better. I expect them to be a playoff team or playing team, I guess, 7. They'll be a dangerous team. I'm not just penciling them in at number 2. No,
Mhm.
you got to prove it to me that
Yeah, yeah,
you've
yeah.
changed. So a lot of people like they're over, and a lot of people are really high on them, and it's like, oh, new contender and blah blah blah, because that's the one. You got to prove it to me, man.
So I put the Grizzlies sixth because I have the Suns seventh. I like I like the addition of Budenholzer. I think he makes them a better regular season team. I think Tyus Jones getting a real point guard, I think helps some of their struggles. I think the defense will still be a question mark, how good it will be, because you're going from now more of an offensive coach compared to a defensive coach and you had in Vogel. The only reason I have the Suns below the Grizzlies is because I anticipate at some point they're going to have a stretch where they play without one of the big three and they are not great. And that will hurt their record, but I think the Suns are a better team than the Grizzlies right now. Because I need to see it. Ja is back, and that's great, and he's obviously incredible. But will this roster look like it did a year and a half ago? I'm not sure. I need to see it.
The durability which of Kevin Durant is not being talked about enough. This guy had a healthy season for the first time in basically 5 years, and you can't really expect him to do that again. It's not being talked about enough, and it's a massive part of the Suns season. However, I have them five, assuming that happens again. um, yeah. Um, so you had the Suns seven. Um, so I guess let's talk about the top six.
Well, I had the Grizzlies sixth,
Okay,
but
so we talked
then
about that.
yeah, so I
Okay.
have the Lakers fifth.
Okay, I have the Lakers sixth.
Okay, I think JJ Redick has an impact on this team. I've already seen from what I've seen in the preseason. They're definitely the offense looks a lot more structured compared to what it looked like under Ham. And this is a team that's coming back with basically the same roster. And they won 47 games with the dysfunction that they had. So I think with a full season, some stability, the question will be is if they get a full season healthy of AD and Braun again. I'm not sure if they will. Um, but if they're as good as they were last season when they were whole and they get some positive regression from some of their role players that didn't really contribute anything, like Gabe Vincent, I do think this should be a close to 50 win team, and I think they'll be one of the better teams in the Western Conference.
I can't stand the Darvin Ham defenses. He was awful last year. He was.
Yeah, but then they're like
JJ
they
Redick,
made the Western Conference Finals with
I
him. They
know, I
won the
get it, but I
in-season
think that was
tournament.
more
Yeah,
I think that was more of like, oh my God, Westbrook's finally not on our team anymore.
yeah,
To me, also first year of Darvin Ham, you don't usually quit on the coach in the first year. But so
that's true.
second year, Darvin Ham, they're like, enough of this dude. All right. So here's the thing. JJ Redick is going to have the respect of everybody in that locker room, and he knows what he's doing. I am all in on JJ Redick.
Dalton Connect can also really play. I think
Yeah,
he's
great
gonna
pick.
he's gonna end up in the rotation. And that's another shooter. And JJ Redick has talked about they want to shoot a lot more threes. Not sure they necessarily have the personnel to shoot 40, 50 threes a game, but they're gonna do it. Um, but yeah, I expect them to be good. Fourth, I have the Nuggets. Um, I still trust in Jokic, obviously being really great. Uh, making his teammates better, but they're losing pieces year by year from that championship roster, and I did not like the addition of Russell Westbrook. I mean, we have years of evidence at this point. If you have Russell Westbrook playing a lot of minutes, impactful minutes, it's not going to work out in the end. But I still think Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, I still think that's a great starting lineup. But it's really going to be up to Christian Brown or uh, what's their other young player? Peyton Watson, one of those guys kind of stepping up for KCP because now he's in Orlando. But I still think they're going to be a really good team. Um, and their injury history is not as bad as some of the teams below them. So I think they'll mostly stay healthy for most of the year and they'll be good.
My concerns with them are we have overrated this team from the beginning.
Okay.
We overrated the Denver Nuggets from the beginning. Jamal Murray has been overrated his entire
Uh,
career.
his entire career?
Entire career.
I think recently he's been overrated for sure,
Here's the
but
thing. Here's the thing with Jamal Murray. He was amazing in the bubble. And
mhm.
then next year, again, not a playoff. He was not an all-star. This is why Jamal Murray doesn't make all-star teams. He's incredibly inconsistent, and he shows up in the playoffs fine. He's not that great. Like he's not like a great player. You know
Well,
what I
he
mean?
wasn't
Like
great against Minnesota
you know what I
in
mean?
the playoffs for sure.
He's a really good point guard, and he's really good in the playoffs, and he's a really good Jokic kind of. He pairs well with Jokic,
Yeah.
but he is not this dude that's like amazing to me. Never really was, and I'm not here to take any credit away from him, but he's the second best player on this team, and he did not look good in the Olympics this year. This is not a playoff team without Jokic.
No, I don't think so. It's not.
And
So
Jokic,
it's really all up to him. If he's Jokic, they'll find their way in there somehow. I have him fourth, but I think they definitely don't. They're not a play-in team. I don't think, barring some like Jokic misses a stretch of the season. Um, they just have some. I think they just have the chemistry. I think that starting lineup just works. But the bench is a question. Who off that bench is going to really contribute? Because especially in the playoffs, pretty much just came down to how good their starting lineup was, and if someone in that starting lineup wasn't great, it had to be Murray. They struggled. Who do you have fourth?
Dallas.
Okay, I have Dallas second.
I just don't think Dallas is going to take the regular season seriously.
Really?
I had them fourth. So if everything goes according to plan with them, that's where they should be, I think. Luca is so relied upon with them that if something happens to him, like everything can go off the rails. Jason Kidd is an every other year coach where it seems like one year he's incredible and the other year he doesn't know what he's doing. And I like some of the things they did. The Clay thing is weird to me. I don't know what his role is going to be on this team. Um, I think with how bad he was last year, I mean, it's so strange watching him on this Dallas team. And I forgot Spencer Dinwiddie was on this team.
Yes. So
I
did
can,
I. I saw during media day. I was like, oh, he's back with the Dallas member. I'm like, oh, okay.
I can confirm with you that is not going to be the same Spencer Dinwiddie as a couple years ago. I don't think. After watching him play last year for the Lakers and the Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie was awful last year.
I think them losing the finals, I think it actually will be a little bit of a motivator for them. I think they will come in a little more serious. I have Minnesota third, and I mostly because I think Ant continues on his trajectory to being one of the best players in the league. I really like them adding DiVincenzo. It's the part that hurts me the most as a Knicks fan, losing DiVincenzo. He's a sharpshooter who can fit in basically almost any lineup, can do basically anything. He can bring the ball up, could defend, and obviously shoots the three really well. I think Nas with more minutes is you're gonna see a lot of what you saw in the playoffs, how good he can be a difference maker, playing inside and out. My concern will be the Randall and Gobert pairing. How much will they really share the floor together? How does Randall kind of, his mood, how does that change as the season goes on? When it comes to his role and, how many shots he gets and stuff like that. Because this is only possibly a 1 year stop for Randall. So how much does he buy in? He seems to be having a decent time. He mentioned Minnesota is more his speed, that, not really a big city kid, which is cool. Um, but I still think they're going to be a really good team, obviously, but not sure if they're going to be quite the contender that they were last year, this year.
I think that this trade allows Minnesota to be different, which could be a good thing. And if it doesn't work, they could very easily go back to the way they played last year by replacing the Towns minutes with Naz Reid. And you add Dante DiVincenzo, who I think is excellent for their bench. So they could try the stuff with Randall. If it doesn't work, they can move off of him.
That's true.
So I believe Minnesota is still going to be there, and I expect Anthony Edwards to be better. And even if Conley gets a little worse, I don't think it'll be so dramatic that it's really a problem. I expect Gobert to be the same because there's nothing. there's no reason why I think Gobert would be worse than last year. I think it's going to be the same thing. He'll be great in the regular season, the playoffs. He'll be switched on to somebody that's way better than him, and everyone hates him, and he basically that's
That's
just going to
true.
happen.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah.
Daniels is there. Finch is still there. Dante DiVincenzo, I think, adds it really, and Dante's pissed
Yeah.
this year, and I think that means something. So I have Minnesota too. I think our thoughts are very similar. 2 and 3, it's not a
Yeah.
huge thing.
And
Um,
then
but yeah.
it looks like we both have the Oklahoma City Thunder number one. I mean, the roster was great last year. They were number one seed last year, and they added two really good role players in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Um, there's no reason to think that this team won't be a lot better.
Mhm.
Um, and they'll be one of the best teams in the league. Um, it's just it's incredible that, and then you've heard the wrinkle about that they have the Clippers pick this year, and the Clippers missed the playoffs. They're gonna have a lottery pick in a really good draft. It's just insane.
It would be so annoying if they were the ones to get Cooper Flag.
Oh my God.
You know what I would like for them? Dylan Harper.
Dylan Harper.
Yeah, for them. I wonder if they would do that because I think that him and Shea could work. And you're basically that's your replacement. You're washing the giddy pick, and then you're getting somebody
Right.
like.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, I
that's
don't
a
want to talk about that because my team is in the hunt for that, and I want one of those guys. So, um, God, the Clippers are such a disaster. How are the Thunder worse than last year, and in any way?
yeah,
The only thing that would make them worse is obvious is an injury. If they're all healthy, it's honestly lock that in. They're the best team uh, record wise in the West, and in my opinion, the best team in the West.
yeah. It's basically it's really that simple, honestly. There's really I can't even think of anything other than an injury, which you could say about every team, how
Mhm.
it would go wrong.
Yeah.
Caruso is a great defensive player, one of the best defensive guards in the league. He could also shoot the ball, great cutter, just a nice connector, kind of glue piece that you play. And Hardenstein, obviously, we saw what he was for the Knicks in the playoffs. Him leaving in free agency kind of set in motion everything that happened with the Knicks this offseason, the major changes they made, because he's obviously a really good piece. He can facilitate the ball, great rebounder, and obviously in the pick and pop, pick and roll is a good player. It's interesting to see if he goes back to shooting some threes. I think Thibodeau was really against him shooting threes for the Knicks. When he was with the Clippers, he shot a few threes a game. I think the Thunder will probably do that as well. And we forget about Chet Holmgren. He kind of has been mentioned a lot when we talk about this team. Him better as well, I think, is also going to be a really uh, big factor for the Thunder and in possibly going to the finals and winning the championship. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can also follow Truish Hoops on TikTok. You can follow me at OZP Dan on Twitter. Thanks for watching the video. See you guys next time.